Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for once again joining us on the African Reform Movement channel. My name is Uche. I'm your host for this evening. And of course, we have with us, as always, our distinguished guest, Dr. Nii Amu Darko. If you are new here, just want to encourage you to follow Dr. Nii. He's got a number of he's got a number of social media platforms, all of which are listed down here. Just to let you know, if you don't capture it now, not to worry, because all of these things are listed on his YouTube account. So you'll be able to make a note of them then. If you want to follow us on YouTube, please make sure that not only do you subscribe, but you click the notification bell so that you'll always be notified when we're getting ready to go live. Can I also ask that all questions regarding this topic today are sent to us via our chat function, because what we want to do is, after Dr. Nii has done his presentation, we want him to have the opportunity to answer some of your questions. So please make sure you are sending the questions here to this platform. Dr. Nii will be speaking, well, the topic that he's mentioning will be taken from his book, Weep Not Africa, okay? And Weep Not Africa is available on Dr. Nii's bookstore, which is just here. Okay, and again, all of these informations can be found on his YouTube channel. So if you don't get it now, no problem. You can pick it up on his YouTube channel. Okay, so today's topic is Joseph's Rule, Redemption Through Enslavement. Quite intriguing title, but Dr. Nii is here to talk us all the way through it, and it's quite eye-opening. So Dr. Nii, over to you.
Thank you very much, Uche. And thanks, audience, for making time to meet me again. Over here is very cold, but I've got to talk, so I'm going to talk. Right, today is an interesting day because we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, the Joseph's Rule. Can we please have slide number 5?
Okay, just 1 second.
Okay. Last week when we spoke, I talked about source of finance because the whole idea was to neutralize finance capital. And one of the sources of finance is what I wrote as Joseph's Rule. That's I put down as number 5, Joseph's Rule.
Number 5. Number 4. Number 4.
Number
okay.
4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have tax, we have remittances, we have exports, loans, aid and grants, and we have Joseph's Rule. There's another one, Nehemiah's Rule, but we'll look at Joseph's Rule today. We talk about Joseph's Rule as a means of neutralizing public or neutralizing finance capital. Can we please have the first slide now? Joseph's Rule, Redemption Through Slavery. And second slide, please. We're just going through, for the first time, is for them to have an idea what's going on. The principles of building. If you want to build a house, you need a good building plan from the best architects and the best engineers. And that we call the Constitution that we've discussed before. The next thing you need to build a good house is to have the best builders. Okay, the best builders are those who put into action the plans that have been drawn by the engineers and architects. And of course, to do all that, you need good finance. And that's what we are saying, that up to now, Ghana and Africa have been relying on finance capital. And we know that finance capital is the imperialist tool now for redominating the world, as Lenin prophesied several decades ago, actually over a century ago. Now, our main task as newly independent African states is to neutralize finance capital. We went into reverse colonialism last week at the first stage of economic independence for Africa. Today, we are looking at another aspect of finance, public finance, and I'm saying that is the Joseph's Rule. Now, can we then go to slide number 3? We're just building up, all right? We just built it up. Now, importance of history. Importance of history. Here is Romans chapter 15, verse 4. And Apostle Paul was talking to the Jews who have converted to Christianity in Rome. Then he said, the things that were written before us were written for our learning, that we, through the patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Then he wanted to pray, may the God of patience and comfort, So God of patience and comfort. Now, the things that were written before us were written for our learning, that we, through the patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Last time when we spoke, I asked the question, is there any hope for us? And I answered, yes, there is hope for us. And we went through. I'm telling you one thing. The scriptures were not written for God. The scriptures were not written for angels. The scriptures were written for us, that through the patience and the comfort of the scriptures, we might have hope. And the scriptures were not written by God, and the scriptures were not written by angels. The scriptures written by human beings for human beings, that through its patience and comfort, we might have hope. Now, if you feel that everything is bleak and gloom and there is no hope, you turn to the scriptures. It does three things actually: give you patience, give you comfort, and give you hope. Those are the things it does. So then you know that, oh, if this happened to Solomon and it's happened to me, then I have hope, because I know that through this, Solomon became that. Or if this happened to Jesus, or if this happened to Paul, or if this happened to David, when he said that, even though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I shall not fear evil, because I know that thy staff, you are with me. Your staff and your rod, they comfort me. You know that when you're going through the most depressing part of your life, you know that it is not the end of it, because his rod and his staff will comfort you. And after that, he will lay a table before you in the presence of your enemies, and you will laugh, and blessings shall follow you for the rest of your life, and you shall remain in the house of the Lord forevermore. Now, these are things that comfort and give hope, that you are not the first person to go through depression. You are not the first person to go through severe depression. You are not the first person to walk in the shadow, in the valley of shadow of death. Valley means depressed. Shadow of death, suicidal. You are not the first. Even King David went through that, because then you know that, oh, that's why this was written. It wasn't written for me to roll on the beach seeking God and praying to God. No. It was written so that you, through the patience and comfort of these words, you might have hope. Now we are coming to the main meat for today. Slide number 6, the last slide, please. Where do we have hope from? Africa, Ghana. Where do we have hope from? The Joseph rule. Who was Joseph? Joseph was a guy who was sold into slavery by his own brothers, because he claimed to have dreamed that he was going to be bigger than all of them. He was sold into slavery because of jealousy by his own brothers. And at the end of the day, a time came that Joseph's brothers came to him. They didn't know that it was him. And this is what he said in Genesis 50:20. He said, you meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good, as it is about today, to save many. When the brothers were selling him to slavery, they made money out of it. They sold him to Ishmaelites going to Egypt for business, and they made money out of it, and they thought that was the end of the story. They meant it for evil, but God did mean for good. Why will I say this in public finance? How would this story neutralize finance capital? In the history of mankind, that has been recorded. There are only two people there's only one group of people who had gone through what Joseph went through. And that group of people are the African slaves in America, North America, or wherever today. Those, let me focus on America. Those you call America, African American. They are the only slaves in the world who were sold into slavery by their own people, by their own brothers. Now, the Jews were in Egypt for between 400 to 430 years. But Joseph had the revelation that he was sent ahead of his people in order to save them at a critical moment. December 2019 was 400 years since the first slave ship landed in America. 400 years. So for the African Americans, we are in the period of redemption now. The Jews stayed in Egypt for about a little over 400 years. Now we have chalked 400 years in America. But do we have this revelation that we were sent ahead so that today we will save many? Now, when you know that people meant it evil when they sold you into slavery in West Africa, specifically Ghana, that ship landed in America from Ghana, my country. Today, when you go to West Africa, out of the 42 slave castles and forts, 36 are in Ghana alone. My country was the epicenter of the transatlantic slave trade. And the question is that, do we know why we were sent ahead? Joseph was able to capture that revelation, and he told his brothers, don't cry, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. That today, because of what you did, many will be saved. And that's where we are. Over 400 years in America, do African Americans know why their brothers sold them into slavery? Or they will continue to whinge and complain and complain and complain and complain? One man called that revelation. His name was called what? Marcus Garvey, my chief mentor. He called that revelation. That's why he came with Back to Africa movement. But you see, he was ahead of his time. The 400 years was not due. The threshold here of 400 was not due. So he saw it. He saw the vision, but it wasn't his time. Like it's written in Hebrews chapter 11. Those ahead of us, they saw the vision as coming far off, but we are the promise. We have come to meet the time. You see, sometimes we do not understand how the world works. But let me tell you, the promise sometimes takes pain. And the pain can be as bad as slavery. And Joseph got it. Joseph got it. He said, don't cry, you meant it for evil. When they stopped slavery, some of the slave owners and slave traders in Ghana, the Gold Coast, were very upset. They wanted to serve their own people for gain. But the time for selling the Josephs was over. It's closed. Because it was meant to last for 400 years. And we are in the redemption period. But if you don't know you are in the redemption period, you miss it. Yeah. Today, we are talking about neutralizing finance capital. So what do I mean? When we come to power, we're going to pass a law in Parliament, the Joseph's Act. The Joseph Act basically is to allow African Americans or any form of African whatever who were taken from our shores into slavery, for them to know that they were taking ahead to save many today. Now, so that they had the freedom. You know, when Marcus Garvey said back to Africa, he meant physical movement. But we know that you don't need to have physical movement. You can invest in Africa knowing that there was a divine reason why your own brother sold you. There was a divine reason. There was a divine reason why Joseph's own brother. Can you imagine the grandchildren of Isaac, the great-grandchildren of Abraham, Father Abraham, selling one of them? But it happened. So let's stop whinging about slavery. We can't change that history. What we can change is the future. Let's have the Joseph mentality, the Joseph mindset, that there's a lot of work to be done in the homeland. Let us break finance capital by knowing that we were sent ahead so that we could save many today. Amazing. Joseph said that not because he didn't feel the pain, but even when he was there, he never ever complained. Well, he knew that it's been revealed to him that he will be the greatest of his brothers. And they wanted to cut that dream short. So they sold him. But he knew that what God has said, nobody can change. Africa is supposed to be the mother continent. We have everything. We are the envy of the world when it comes to resources. So people will definitely try to put us down. And our own brothers got involved and they sold us to the Ishmaelites. Now, we are so peeved with the Ishmaelites. We are so peeved with the Egyptians who have kept us there. You have to understand, Egypt at the time of Joseph was the biggest country, the most powerful country. It's like America today. So there's a reason. There's a reason we are there in America and not in China or not in Korea or somewhere else. There's a reason. By the way, we have to understand that there is pain, but the pain always bears the promise. There is redemption, even through slavery. The story of Joseph is where we pass the acts in Parliament that will allow Oprah Winfrey come and open Oprah Winfrey University in northern Ghana. That Michael Jordan can come and lay railway from Accra to Paga. Because the money they have there is not for them. It's for the motherland. They have to help us to bring finance capital. That's why they were sent ahead of us. So that today they will save money.
Can I just interject there? I know that someone like Akon, he was formerly a rapper. I can't remember. I think it's Senegal. He's doing like a lot of things. If it's not Senegal, pardon me, but he's taking his money from America and he's like investing quite heavily in a particular country in Africa with regards to lights. Getting the lights on was one of the big things that he's done. So people are already doing that already. It's kind of allowed. Are people who are overseas from Ghana allowed to do that now or no?
They are allowed to do that, but it's not a government legislated policy. You see, people do things all the time. But when it dawns on people that, look, as a matter of fact, beyond my personal feeling and my personal whatever I have for Africa, we are where we are today because of a divine plan that we are part and parcel of how to liberate Africa in this way from the clutches of finance capital. Now, when that realization dawns, you realize that Akon will only not do what he's doing, but you have an additional reason why he must do that. You see, and then the focus, the energy that is used, Black Lives Matter, there'll be purpose to their life there. They'll know that, look, we are not just here to do this. We have a major reason back home to bring glory back to the black man. To bring glory back to the black man because we have complained too much. People like Oprah Winfrey. I mentioned her name, she comes to my mind easily. She will have to ask herself, so all this, what am I going to do with that? I've got 30 more years to live. I can even have 100 more years to live. What difference will it make to what I've accumulated? Okay, let me call 10 people, Africans like me, and let's set this agenda that we are going to this place, we are going to do it. Now, when you build these things in the name of Come Back to Africa movement, that was started by Marcus Garvey, the great Marcus Garvey, you know that you're actually fulfilling a divine plan. The purpose of the scriptures is that through his patience and comfort, we might have hope. And this is one example that can give hope to Africa, that a day is going to come, and very, very soon, the people who were sold ahead of us will realize their divine role in our emancipation, and they will play a role to neutralize finance capital that has held our neck in tight, that has held our neck so much that we cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. We cannot breathe. We need the hands of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora to come and take the knee of finance capital off our neck so we can breathe. This is one of the ways that I believe that we can neutralize finance capital. Now, This is where our true independence will come from. Like I always say, the political independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with economic independence. And this is surely one way, the Joseph's rule, that when it's organized by an act of parliament, and then all the concessions that could be put into place, the tax regime, the this and that, to bring finance from our own people who have been sent ahead of us for this day so that many will be saved. Joseph represents one man who was sold into slavery to save many lives. And I believe after 400 years of African labor in the Americas, it's about time that we turn our attention from complaining there and to rebuild the motherland, because I can tell you there is hope in Africa. Your children will come back from the land of the enemy. And there's future, there's hope in your future, because your children will come back from the land of the enemy. They will come back into their own border, and that is where our hope lies. Chwa Umanyaba.
Just a quick question. 2019 was the year of the return. And I remember there was a lot of buzz over here about Ghanaian celebrities and other, Ghanaian celebrities over here and people who just had an interest in Africa going back to mark the 400 years. I think that there was kind of some of this thing there that some people had actually captured it. How did the government harness such a great move? How did, if they did that, how do they extrapolate the good from that? I know the tourism industry. Was really boosted as a result.
It's all these things. If you don't understand the divine purpose, you can never extrapolate into a divine rule. Okay. Yeah, for them, let them come and spend some few dollars in Ghana. Let's get that and go. They cannot see it as a base of policy to break and neutralize finance capital. If you understand it that way, you do things differently. You go there and tell them, brothers and sisters, the time of complaint is over. This is a time of liberation. We believe that this is why you were sent ahead of us. We meant it for evil, but Almighty God meant it for good. That today, because of your enterprise, many lives will be saved. We are not calling you back to come and dance on our streets and eat our food and go back. We are calling you to come and stay if you want, or invest in Ghana. We've flown 10 billion shares of all this you want to do. You are more than welcome to come and do this for us. It got to be a business enterprise. No celebration. We love parties. That's what we do.
Right, there's a question here from Larby Collins. It says, how will the diasporas know that it's time for them to come and save their own land?
That's the preaching I'm preaching. You see, like Apostle Paul, I've forgotten why he said that. He said, but how would they have faith if they do not hear anything? And how would they hear anything if nobody goes to preach to them? Then he went on to quote Isaiah, how beautiful are the feet of them who preach the good news. You see, that's what it is. People cannot have the faith to invest in something unless they hear the good news. And people will not hear the good news unless somebody preaches to them. So when you hear what I'm saying, then it becomes your business to also go and say it somewhere else. I've written it in the whole book, Whip No Africa. It is there. You can buy it and give it to somebody that read this book, read what this guy is saying here in terms of why you were sold by your own brothers into America. He said it's like Joseph, who was sold by his own brothers into the powerful country of his time, that was Egypt. But he caught the revelation that he was sent ahead to save many. Have you caught that revelation? How beautiful are the feet of them who preach the good news. Be a good news preacher. There is hope for us.
There's a statement here from Shika. There are initiatives like that, but not in a concerted way. The AU appoints a diaspora ambassador for encouraging linkages, but it hasn't been effective. Do we know why it hasn't been effective?
I don't want to talk about the AU because I have my own idea about the AU, okay? That's an organization that oversees Africa, which, 94%. Africa is 17% of the world population, right? 17% of the world population. 94% of all malaria deaths are in Africa. 94% of all malaria deaths are in Africa, all right? And we have an AU that oversees whatever happens in Africa. They have not mentioned that once. COVID came, and the white man said, oh, it's this, Then COVID all over the place. 32 Ghanaian children die every day from malaria. 32 every single day in my country. Nobody cares. Forget about AU and AU ambassador, okay? The blind leading the blind. They all fall into a ditch. That's why it hasn't worked. They actually don't know what they are doing. Simple.
So how
we have a country that contributes 94% of malaria deaths in the whole world, and nobody talks about that. They all you meet all the time. They go and drink tea and cake and come back home, talk shop, forget about AU. They have not the faintest idea what they are doing. It's a shame that after independence we cannot eradicate malaria. 94%, 92% of all malaria cases in the world are in Africa anyway, and 94% of all deaths. No country, no continent has that monopoly over any kind of death than Africa and malaria. 94%. It is a shame. What I'm telling you, our health minister doesn't know. That's where we are now. We need a proper reawakening. It's a complete joke.
So, for those who are tuning in, those who will watch this later, and they've heard what you said, I said, okay, I want to take serious, measurable steps to get this message out there. I want to take serious, measurable steps to be a part of this change that you're speaking of in Ghana. What can I do? Just give them maybe like 3 things they can consider doing.
Well, wherever that person is, that change cannot happen in my view, unless there is political change in Ghana. It doesn't just work like that. You see, we think it's so simple, but that's why sometimes they pay Messi 10 times more than they pay his other teammates, or they pay Ronaldo 10 more than they pay other teammates, because if you give him 10 chances, he will score 9. If you give him 10 chances to another person, the person will score 1. So it's not the same. The person, the personality, the leadership is what determines the outcome. Like I said, if you want to build a house, 3 things: good plans, good constitution, good leaders, and then good finance. That's what we're talking about. And unless you have that in place, you have a wrong constitution, you have wrong leadership, forget about forget about everything else. That's going to happen. The finance comes in to allow the good leaders to put into place the good plans, the good constitution, the good policies, the good aspirations. You cannot have one and leave the other. They come together. You cannot build a house without one of the 3. So anybody, anywhere must start aiming for a change of the system. And wherever you are, you can form an eco-fed family. Eco-fed family. I've got them across the country, regional basis, and you can form one. Let me know that you form this one, and then you also start preaching. How beautiful are the feet of them who preach the good news. We can't complain all the time. Our God reigns. We sing that all the time. So it shall be said. That's why Isaiah said the time is going to come. But you see, people need to have the faith. They can't have the faith without hearing, and they cannot hear without a messenger. Are you willing to be the messenger? That is our challenge. That's what we have to do.
Okay, so one is to be a messenger, to go around, not to go around, but to...
You got to start forming something.
You
got to start forming something. If you want to see the size of, you can see the biggest tree in the world. But that tree was only planted by 1 seed. 1 seed. Sow that seed, start something. Start eco-fed in your family, among your family, your workplace, and tell them that there's a need for a change that will neutralize finance capital, and that's the only change that will take us out of the grip of imperialism.
Okay.
We have no choice.
What's something else they can do? What two other things they can do?
Well, I mean, they don't have to do three things. They could do one thing, two
Okay.
things, five. Yeah. So the key thing is for them to understand themselves and believe, because you cannot give what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to believe that this is what can bring the change. And that's the only way you can be a good messenger. Mm-hmm. When you read the story of Apostle Paul, you see, we are joking in every way. Because what it takes to bring change, I have a very serious feeling that we are not ready. What it takes to bring change, the sacrifice, the pain. People even complain that, oh, this time of the day. This time of what day? Do you know the number of weeks and plan that people want to stage school, they take to plan, and the sacrifice they make before they stage schools? You think it's easy? You want to do everything the way you do it, and you want different results. Einstein said that's insanity. Mm-hmm. Because cause and effect are related. If you do the same thing and you want different results, that's insanity.
But I think people.
So if you want the change, you must do things differently, and that means sacrifice.
Right.
Come and sit here, listen 30 minutes, hear, develop faith, and go and reproduce it. Mm-hmm. But people are not even willing to do that, yet they want things to change. How's that going to happen? How's that going to happen? So what people need to do, first and foremost, is to believe. Okay? Is to believe and to know that there is hope, because the scriptures tell us that there is hope through the patience and comfort, because we are all stressed. We need patience to know that things will happen, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. At the same time, we need some comfort to know that, well, when things happen, things will change, because there is hope. I've seen it before. People have been sold into slavery and they become prime ministers. So it doesn't matter that my brother or my sister or my uncle or my aunt betrayed me this way. I can be like a Joseph. In spite of the betrayer, I can be the head of the corner. The stone that the builder rejected became the head of the corner. For you as a person, whoever is listening, that gives you hope. Then you don't win so much about the betrayer, about the selling by your brothers or your sisters or your family members, because you know that because of Joseph, you through God's own machinations, you can become the head of the corner. The stone that the builders rejected became the. So on a personal level, even you listening should know that, and that should give you hope. Through the patience and comfort of the scriptures, we might have hope. Let me tell you, listeners, if there is one book that I have read in my life that has changed me more than anything, is the book of Romans. I first read it in 1987, but I think I've read more than 20 times. It's only the last 2-3 years I haven't read because I'm sick and tired of it. I've read it over and over. Is the number one book. I read more than any book in my life. What are medical books? Forget about them. I've read the book of Romans more than any book in my life. Whoever is there, when you go and take it and read it. It's the book Apostle Paul wrote to the Jews who have converted to his Christianity in Rome. Now, if you know, at that point, at the time of Paul, the Romans, Israel itself was a colony of Rome. So he wrote the letter to like Ghanaians in UK during colonialism. Okay, the Jews there were subjects of the Romans in the capital of the Roman Empire in Rome. So there must be intense racism and discrimination. Then, if you are complaining now, you can imagine then. Okay, so Paul was trying to tell them that, you know what, you read the scriptures, but it's written for you. Because through his patience and comfort, you must have hope that where you are today is not the end of the world. There is hope for you. You can come out, things can change for you. So he wrote that Romans book. It's an extraordinary book, philosophically and jurisprudentially. I mean, all my understanding of law is on that book. What do people think I know? What do people think I know? I don't think I know so much, but what do people think I know? I got the understanding from understanding. You cannot understand the Romans, the book of Romans, and not understand life. It's impossible. So forget about politics, forget about everything. As a person, you go and forget about religion because it's not about Christianity. It's about how this world works. Forget about Christianity, forget about anything. It's about how this world, how you organize your life, how you see yourself in relation to the external, in relation to your environment, what you can take out of it through your what is the name of that song? Through all the changes of life. How you can maneuver all through all. Read the book of Romans from A to Z. Amazing. You understand this life in its entirety. For me, it's very easy. I don't look at it as anything. The scriptures were not written for us to worship anybody, but they're written for us so that we must have hope, to comfort us, to give us patience, so that we might have hope. That's how I see it. People can see whatever they want to see, but that's the way I see it. When I read something, I say, "Oh, okay, it's not too bad. I think my situation is not that bad. I'm better than this guy, and this guy got so far. I can get so far. I'm never scared of anything." Not once. I've never been scared before in my life. Those who knew me from class 1 will tell you, never ever. Never been scared before. Whenever I think it's risk, I can take any risk. So far as I believe what I'm doing.
Wow.
But that's a problem. You know what? I can talk about this forever. But read Romans. The next thing I would like to talk about, I didn't put it there, is about Nehemiah. Nehemiah. If you want to know about reconstruction, after the exile, they were taken into exile from Judah. You have to understand that these things were written, that through his patience and comfort, you might have hope. Ghana is not the West. It's happened before. How did Nehemiah reconstruct Jerusalem? How did he do it? This is another form of public finance that I'll describe. It's one of the very, very early things I wrote many, many years ago. Nehemiah's rule. And that will be a nice thing to talk about sometime down the line.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
As always, Dr. Nii, thank you for sharing your thoughts. That's very enlightening for me personally. How you explains that those who are sold into slavery, even though it's a terrible, terrible, awful moment in history, they were sent ahead to save the rest of us alive. So that's a powerful concept. I never ever considered that before. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you for opening my eyes to that. And as Dr. Nii was saying earlier, we can't say we want change and not do the things that are required to make the change. Even if all you can do is forward these videos on this channel to people to see, at least do that. Let people start having their thoughts change. Let people start receiving wisdom and revelation as to how things can be changed within our own lifetime. So if that's all that you can do, but that's a lot, because there's a lot of information in these videos, please forward them to your friends. Please forward them to your colleagues, to anybody that you know who has a heart and a desire to see Africa transformed. Connect them with Dr. Nii, connect them with his social media, connect them with his teachings on his channel. That would be fantastic. So as ever, thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who joined us. Thank you to those of you who left comments, and we'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks everybody. How do we? All right. Now, how do I get